host had tried to cut the soul out of his body. It took me a moment before I could speak. Even then, my voice was just a breath. What happened to them? Luckily, the host was unable to stay conscious long enough to inflict a real damage.
Hola, ¿qué tal, amantes de la relajación? ¿Qué tal estáis? Mi cara de dormido y yo estamos emocionados por presentar en este vídeo otra vez a la invitada especial. ¿Qué tal estás?
Bien, un poco de frío.
Tenemos también por aquí a su gato, Kisho, comiendo un poco, picando un tentempié. Y hoy lo que vamos a hacer es leer, porque nos lo ha pedido Sara. Y vamos a leer unos relatos en inglés que tiene Micaela, la invitada especial Micaela, porque le gusta bastante leer. Así que, ¿qué nos puedes contar del libro?
El libro lo encontré a través de su película, que la vi hace un tiempo. Y pues decidí comprarlo en inglés para practicar un poco. Y está bastante bueno. La película también. Tienen que verla.
Pues nada, vamos a empezar ahora y espero que os guste.
Resisted. She won't recognize the new name, the healer murmured. A new sensation distracted me. Something pleasant, a change in the air as the seeker stood at my side. I sensed, I realized, something different than the sterile, odorless room. Perfume, my new mind told me. Floral blush. Can you hear me? The seeker asked, interrupting my analysis. Are you aware? Take your time. The healer
Urge.
in a softer voice than the one he had used before. I did not open my eyes. I didn't want to be distracted. My mind gave me the words I needed at the tone that would convey what I couldn't say without using many words. Have I been placed in a damaged host in order to gain the information you need, seeker? There was a gasp, surprised me, and outrage mingled, and something warm touched my skin, covered my hand.
Of course not. Wondered, the man said resolutely. Even a seeker would stop at some things. Seeker gasped again, hissed, my memory corrected. Then why doesn't this mind function correctly? There was a pause. The scans were perfect, the seeker said, her words not reassuring but argumentative. Did she mean to quarrel with me? The body was entirely healed from a suicide attempt that was perilously close to succeeding. My tone was stiff, still angry. I wasn't used to anger. It was hard to contain it. Everything was in a perfect order. Though there was no sound, there was a change. The atmosphere, which had gone tense at my accusation, relaxed. I wonder how I knew which had gone tense. Oh, I wonder how I knew this. I had a strange sensation. That's, well, not to be expected exactly, but not surprising considering I don't understand your meaning. This host was part of the human resistance. There was a hint of the excitement in the seeker's voice now. Those humans who were aware of us before in censure are more difficult to subdue. This one still resists. There was a moment of silence while they waited for my response. Resisting, the host was blocking my access. Again, the heat of my anger surprised me, and I curled bone. I asked my voice to distort because it came through my teeth.
beside the healer. She didn't draw the eye. A turtleneck in the bright room. She wore black from chin to wrist, a conservative suit with a silk turtleneck underneath.
Her hair was black too. It grew to her chin and it was pushed back behind her ears. Her skin was darker than the healer's olive toned. The tiny changes in human expressions were so minimal they were very hard to read. My memory could name the look on this woman's face, though the black brows slanted down over the slightly bulging eyes created a familiar design, not quite anger, intensity, interaction, irritation. How often does this happen? I ask, looking at the healer again. Not often, the healer admitted. We have so few full-grown hosts available anymore. The immature hosts are entirely playable, but you indicated that you preferred to begin as an adult. Yes, most requests are the opposite. The human life span is much shorter than you're used to. I'm well versed in all the facts. Healer, have you dealt with this resistant before yourself? Only once myself. Tell me the facts of the case. I paused. Please, I added, feeling a lack of courtesy in my command. The healer sighed. The seeker began tapping her fingers against her arm. A sigh of impatience. She did not care to wait for what she wanted. This took off you 4 years ago. The healer began. The soul impulse had requested an adult male host. The first one to be available was a human who had been living in a pocket of resistance since the early years of the occupation. The human knew what would happen when he was caught, just as my host did. Yes, he cleared his throat. This was only the soul's second life. He came from blind world, I asked, cocking my head to the side reflexively. Oh, sorry, you couldn't know our nicknames. This was one of yours, though, was it not? He pulled a device from his pocket, a computer, and scanned it quickly. Yes, your 7th planet in the 81st sector.
Blind world, I said again, my voice now disapproving. Yes, well, some who have lived there prefer to call it a silent world. I nodded slowly. I like that better. And some who's never been there call it planet of the bats, the seeker murder. I turned my eyes to her, feeling them narrow as my mind tracked. control. My eyes strained wide, with the soul unaware. The host took the body back. Sadly, yes, Kevin was not strong enough to suppress this host, not strong enough. Would they think me weak as well? Was I weak? That I could not force this mind to answer my questions? Weaker still, because her living thoughts had existed in my head where there should be nothing but memory. I would always thought of myself as strong. This idea of weakness made me flinch, made me feel shame. The healer continued. Certain events occurred and it was decided. ¿Te parece si luego cambiamos el libro de terror en castellano?
Vale, hablamos un poco al final en castellano.
Sí.
What events? The healer looked down without answering. What events? I demanded again. I believed I had a right to know. The healer sighed. You do, Kevin. Physically attacked a healer while not himself. He winked. He knocked the healer unconscious with a blow from his first fist, and then found a scalpel on her person. We found him insensible. The host had tried to cut the soul out of his body. It took me a moment before I could speak. Even then, my voice was just a breath. What happened to them? Luckily, the host was unable to stay conscious long enough to inflict a real damage. Kevin was relocated into an immature host this time. The troublesome house was in poor repair, and it was decided there wasn't much point in saving him. Kevin is 7 human years old and perfectly normal. Aside from the fact that he kept the name Kevin, that is, his guardians are taking great care that he is heavily exposed to music, and that is coming along well. The last was added as if it were good news that could somehow cancel out the rest. Why? I cleared my throat so that my voice could gain some volume. Why have this risk not been shared? Actually, the seeker broke in, and it's very clearly stated in our recruitment propaganda that assimilating the remaining adult human host is much more challenging than assimilating a child. An immature host is highly recommended. The word challenging does not quite cover Kevin's story, I whispered. Yes, well, you prefer to ignore the recommendation. She held up her hands in a peacemaking gesture when the body tensed, causing the stiff fabric of the narrow bed to crackle softly. Not that I blame you. Childhood is extremely retarded. And you have clearly not the arid soul. I have every confidence that this is well within your abilities to handle. This is just another host. I'm sure you will have full access and control shortly. By this point in my observations of the seeker, I was surprised that she'd had the patience to wait any delay, even my personal accommodations.
I sensed her disappointment in my lack of information, and it brought back some of them familiar feelings of anger. Did it not occur to you that you could get the answers you seek by being inserted into his body? Yourself, I asked. She stiffened. I'm not Skipper. My eyebrows pull up automatically. Another nickname, the healer explained, for those who do not complete a lifetime in their host. I nodded in understanding. We will add a name for it on my other
So I quizzed the seeker and gave her what I could.
Perdón.
Es que se me hace complicado leer susurrando. ¿Puedo leer bajito?
Sí, claro.
Continúo yo. Her name was Melanie Strider. She was born in Albuquerque, New Mexico. She was in Los Angeles when the conversation became known to her, and she hid in the wilderness for a few years before finding. Sorry. I tried that one again later. The body has seen 20 years. She drove to Chicago from. I shook my head. There were several stages, not all of them alone. The vehicle was stolen. She was searching for a cousin named Sharon, whom she had reason to hope was still a human. She neither found nor contacted anyone before she was spotted, but I struggled fighting against another blank wall. I think I can't be sure. I think she left a note somewhere, so she expected someone would look for her. The seeker asked eagerly. Yes, she will be missed. If she does not redeem views with. I gritted my teeth, truly fighting now. The wall was black and I could not tell how thick it was. I battered against it, sweat beating on my forehead. The seeker and the healer were very quiet, allowing me to concentrate. I tried thinking of something else. The loud and familiar noises the engine of the car had made. The jolly rush of adrenaline every time the lights of another vehicle drew near on the road. I already had this, and nothing found me. I let the memory carry me along. Let it skip over the cold hike through the city. Under the shiny darkness of night, let it win its way to the building, where they will find me, not me, her. My body shuddered.
Don't overstand. The healer began. The seeker such him. I let mine dwell on the horror of discovery, the burning heritage of the seekers that overpowered almost everything else. The hazard was evil. It was pain. I could hardly bear to feel it. But I let it run its course, hoping it would distract the resistance, weaken of the defenses. I watched carefully as she tried to hide, and then knew she could not. A note scratched on a piece of devils with a broken pencil, shoved hastily under a door. Not just any door. The pattern is the 5th door along the 5th hall of the 5th floor. Her communication is there. The seeker had a small phone in her hand. She murmured rapidly into it. The building was supposed to be saved. I continued. They knew it was condemned. She doesn't know how she was discovered. Did they find Sharon? A chill. Horror raised goosebumps on my arms. The question was not mine. The question wasn't mine, but it flowered naturally through my lips, as if it were. The seeker did not notice anything amiss. The cousin? No, they had found no other human, she answered, and my body relaxed in response. This house was spotted entering the building. This building was known to be condemned. The citizen who observed her was concerned. He called us, and we watched the building to see if we could catch more than one, and then moved in when that it seems unlikely. Can you find the Rendezvous point? Rendezvous point. I tried. So many memories, all of them so colorful and sharp. I saw 100 places I never been, heard their names for the first time. A house in Los Angeles, lined with tall, fronded trees. A meadow in a forest with a tent of fire outside Winslow, Arizona. A deserted rocky beach in Mexico. A cave, the entrance guarded by sheeting rain. Whoa. Somewhere in Oregon, tents, huts, root shelters. As time went on, the names grew less specific. She did not know where she was, nor did she care. My name was now wandered, yet her memories fit just as well as my own, except that my wandering was by choice. These flashes of memory were always tangled with the fear of the hunted, not wandering, but running.
I try not to feel pity. Instead, I worked to focus the memories. I didn't need to see where she would be, only where she was going. I sorted through the pictures I tied to the word Chicago, but none seemed to be anything more than random images. I winded my net. What was outside Chicago? Cold, I thought. It was cold, and there was some worry about that. Where? I pushed, and the wall came back. I excelled in a gust. Outside the city, in the wilderness, I stayed parked away from any habitations. It's not somewhere she would have been before, but she knew how to get there. How soon? The seeker asked. Soon, the answers came automatically. How long have I been here? We let the host heal for 9 days, just to be absolutely sure she was recovered. The healer told me. Insertion was today, the 10th day. 10 days, my body felt a staggering wave of relief. Too late, I said, for the Rendezvous point, or even the note. I could feel the host's reaction to this. Could feel it too much, strongly. The host was almost smack. I'll allow the words she threw to be spoken so that I could learn from them. He won't be there. He? The seeker pounced on the pronoun. Who? The black wall slammed down with more force than she would use before. She was the tiniest fraction of a second too late. Again, the face filled my mind, the beautiful face with the golden tan skin and the light freckled eyes. The face that stared strange deep pleasure within me while I view it so clearly in my mind. Though the wall slapped into place with an accompanying sensation of vicious resentment, it was not fast enough. Jared, I answered, as quickly as if it had come from me. The thought that was not mine followed the name through my lips. Jared, it's safe.
Pues ya hemos leído un capítulo del libro en inglés de Micaela y ahora vamos a leeros un poquito del libro en español.
Es Stephen King. Se llama El Instituto.
Escalofriante. ¿Me podéis decir si os gusta una lectura totalmente susurrada, un poco más soft spoken o whispered tirando a inaudible pero no completamente inaudible? O si os apetece pues totalmente inaudible, me podéis decir lo que más os gusta. Os pondré una encuesta en la parte de comunidad. Y bueno, nos podéis criticar nuestra pronunciación cutre. Se reclutan a niños con mentes prodigiosas. Durante la noche, en un barrio tranquilo de Minneapolis, raptan a Luke Ellis, de 12 años, y asesinan a sus padres. Una operación que dura menos de 2 minutos. Luke se despierta en la siniestra institución conocida como el Instituto, en un cuarto que se asemeja al suyo, pero sin ventanas. En habitaciones parecidas hay más niños. Kalisha, Nick, George, Iris, Carla Micaela y Avery Dixon, entre otros, que comparten capacidades especiales como la perdón chicos, soy disléxico, telequinesia o la telepatía. Todos ellos se alojan en la mitad delantera de la institución. Los mayores, en cambio, se encuentran en la mitad trasera, como dice Kalisha. Y aquí entre Sally, la señora Sipsky, la directora y el resto del personal se dedican a explorar sin compasión el talento paranormal de los chicos. Si te portas bien, te premian. Si no, el castigo es brutal. Luke se da cuenta de que las víctimas van desapareciendo y son trasladadas a la mitad trasera. Así que se obsesiona con huir y pedir ayuda. Pero nunca nadie ha escapado del instituto. Bajo los fuegos artificiales de su imaginación incansable, Stephen King nos muestra en sus mejores novelas que lo raro, lo extraordinario, lo verdaderamente insólito es vivir.
Gran preview.
Crea una inquietud, ¿no?
Una bastante inquietud. Da miedito. Podemos hacer tipo diálogo.
Vale. Así podéis decirnos también si os gusta más la pronunciación en inglés o en español. ¿Cuál os resulta más relajante?
Ok. Empezamos. No vamos a ir en orden. Empezamos aquí que hay bastante diálogo.
Ok.
Tú puedes leer esto. Y luego aquí está.
Ok. Por primera vez, Luke se fijó en que Tony tenía un discreto morado en el mentón, un pequeño corte en el lado izquierdo de la mandíbula. Se acordó de las magulladuras recientes en la cara de Nicky Wildam. Deseó tener agallas necesarias para hacer eso mismo, pero no las sentía. La verdad era que no sabía pelear. Si lo intentaba, Tony seguramente lo vapulearía de una punta a otra de la habitación.
¿Ya estás listo para sentarte en la silla?
Luke se sentó. ¿Vas a comportarte o tengo que ponerte las correas?
Me comportaré.
Eso hizo.
Y Tony no había mentido. El pellizco en el lóbulo de la oreja era más llevadero que la bofetada, posiblemente porque se lo esperaba. Posiblemente. Segundo asalto, campeón.
¿Qué hay ahí? Preguntó Luke.
No es cosa tuya. Si va a entrar en mi cuerpo, es cosa mía.
Tony suspiró. ¿Con correas o sin correas? Tú decides. Recordó las palabras de George. Elige tus batallas.
Sin correas.
Buen chico. Solo te escocerá un poco y listo.
Le escoció algo más que un poco. Sin ser un martirio, sí fue un escozor considerable. Una sensación de calor le recorrió el brazo hasta la muñeca, como si tuviese fiebre solo en esa parte del cuerpo. Después volvió a la normalidad. Tony le puso una tirita transparente y luego hizo girar la silla para orientarla hacia una pared blanca.
Ahora cierra los ojos.
Luke lo cerró.
¿Oyes algo?
¿Cómo qué?
Deja de hacer preguntas y contesta la mía. ¿Oyes algo?
Cállese y déjeme escuchar.
Tony calló. Luke escuchó.
Ha pasado alguien por el pasillo y alguien se ha reído. Creo que era Gladys.
¿Nada más?
No.
De acuerdo, lo estás haciendo bien. Ahora quiero que me cuentes hasta 20 y después abres los ojos.
Luke contó y los abrió.
¿Qué ves?
La pared.
¿Nada más?
Luke pensó que Tony debía de referirse a los puntos. Cuando los veas, dilo, había dicho George. Cuando no los veas, sé sincero, no mientas. Ellos se dan cuenta.
Nada más.
¿Seguro?
Sí.
Tony le dio una palmada en la espalda y Luke se sobresaltó. Muy bien, campeón. Hemos terminado. Te daré un poco de hielo para esa oreja. Que pases un buen día.
Bueno, chicos, pues eso fue un poquito del relato en castellano. Así nos podéis decir cuál os gusta más. Espero que os haya gustado toda la narración. Y eso, nos podéis decir qué parte os ha gustado más. Sí, whispered, soft spoken. Y nada.
Yes.
Nos vemos en el siguiente.